everyone, and welcome back to my channel True Crime and Trials, where I discuss true crime and trials. My name's Lindsay, and yep, Durst, and the next witness is Ruth Mayer. Now, she works as a psychologist and she lived in South Salem in 1981-1982. She was married to Bill at the time. Ruth has seen the jinx and read and seen things about the case, but is able to separate that from her own memory and opinions. So on we go. Ruth and Bill were neighbours of Kathy and Bob. She says she was friendly with Kathy and she and her husband would have dinner with the Durst from time to time. Ruth says Kathy was fun. She was enthusiastic and liked doing things. She had a positive view of life and was easy to talk to and hang out with her. And they had many deep discussions towards the end, which, means her disappearance. Ruth wasn't aware of any domestic violence until Kathy told her, and Ruth did encourage her to do something about it. She says that Kathy didn't want to report it and cause any trouble, but Ruth did try and encourage her to do so. Kathy also discussed the divorce with her. Kathy was very upset about it and worried, and Kathy also told her about an affair she believed Bob was having. On 31st of January 1982, Ruth saw Kathy that morning, but never saw her again after that. That night, Ruth and Bill had gone out and didn't get home until around 9 p.m, and she says that the Durst home was dark, there were no lights on and no car there. Even though they were neighbours, there was a fair bit of space between them, and if the Dursts were arguing, she probably wouldn't have heard it unless they were very loud. And she says she didn't see Bob at all that day. In the days after Kathy's disappearance, Ruth noticed that no one was home. There were no lights on except for a blue light in the basement, which she says was odd. You can see where the basement is on the Durst house in this picture. She says it stayed on for about 2 nights and then she thinks it went off. Kathy was excited about becoming a doctor, and she had told Ruth that she loved it. There is no doubt in Ruth's mind that Kathy would have voluntarily left, which most people have said. Cross-examination. So Ruth spoke to the makers of the movie All Good Things before they made it. She also spoke to someone from the New York Times. And in an interview with Mr. Lewin back in 2015, she told Mr. Lewin that she never wanted to speak to Durst's lawyers, and she never did. So the report from Detective Struck says nothing about Ruth telling them about any domestic violence that Ruth says Kathy told her about. She says that Detective Struck's report is inaccurate, and when she reviewed the report, there was no mention of the blue light either. Is it possible that he didn't write all, the details down? Yes, it is. I mean, she mentioned a blue light being on. Did he think it was significant at the time? He might not have and not written it down. So, she's well within her rights to say it was inaccurate, and she did tell them. So now the defence are going for if when Ruth didn't see the Durst car there that night, that he could quite possibly have been taking her to the train station, which is a plausible explanation of why his car wasn't there. At the time when she knew Kathy, she didn't know Kathy was taking drugs, but did see an increase in her drinking. Although Kathy told Ruth she had marks on her from, the domestic violence, Ruth never saw them. Ruth doesn't remember saying to Mr. Lewin that when she saw the blue light at the Durst home, that even though she found it odd, she wasn't suspicious. That's neither here nor there. She's just saying she saw a blue light, which she found odd. She didn't find it suspicious at the time because she didn't know Kathy was missing. Ruth was concerned at the time because she couldn't get the police to go in the Durst house. They eventually did 20 years later when the investigation into Kathy's disappearance was reopened. After Kathy's disappearance, Ruth and Bill had dinner with Bob in South Salem. she says Bob was cordial as Bob could be, and she seems to recall that Bob didn't talk about Kathy at all. She says it was rather a bland conversation. They did find it odd at the time that he had asked them to go to dinner. So, redirect. When asked why she agreed to go to the dinner with Bob, she says they weren't sure how to deal with him, and it would just be easier to just go to dinner with him and see what was going on. They didn't want to upset him by saying no. And they go over, the blue light, and again she says that, she didn't, why would she find it suspicious at the time if she didn't know Kathy had disappeared? You notice things that might be a bit odd, and then when it comes out something's happened, you think, oh, that's a bit sus then, isn't it? So there we go. That's it for her. Interesting. Again, more coming from Kathy. She talked more to Kathy. Bob was his usual self and didn't really say anything. Even after his wife had disappeared, he still didn't talk about her. He was... Bob is just... I don't even know he's odd. He is very, very odd. So there we go. I'll be back with one more. I think we've got one more after this, and then I'm all caught up. So until then, bye for now.